Hi, my name is Philippe Ozil. I'm a developer advocate at Salesforce, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate the Streaming Monitor. The Streaming Monitor is an application that lets you monitor the different streaming APIs for the Salesforce platform. It's available as a free AppExchange package, and it's also open source, so you can check out the source code on GitHub. So let's start with a quick demo and see the functionalities of the Streaming Monitor. What we're looking at right now is the homepage of the Streaming Monitor. This is version 3, which brings significant changes to the previous versions. Right now, nothing is happening because I first need to subscribe to events. There are different ways that I can do that. First of all, I can look at this first action, subscribe to all channels here. This lets you automatically subscribe to all existing channels without having to inspect them. You'll note that you also have the option to replay past events with this drop-down. So that's not what I'm going to do now. I'm going to just show you the second option. I'm going to subscribe to specific channels. By going into this second option here, I'm able to pick specific event types. And here you can see the list of the different event types that this tool supports. It's basically all of the different streaming events types that you can get from the platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a few of those so that we have a couple of events registered. I'm going to select the first one, and what's interesting here with this tool is that the tool automatically detects the events for a given event type. There's a bit of work here to detect the right events. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to automatically replay all past events, and I'm going to hit subscribe. Now, at the moment, there's no events on that specific channel, so I'm in waiting mode for now. But what you can see here already is that the subscription was added to the list of active subscriptions. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to add several more channels. So I'm going to pick different event types. Here I'm looking at generic events, also replay all. Normally there's also no events for a specific channel. Let me continue to add some. Now I'm going to move to a custom platform event. And for this one, I know that I have a couple of past events that are going to be replayed. So when I hit subscribe here, now I'm moving to a new view here. I have some active events being displayed. What we see in the graph below is the new view that is available in version 3. This is called the timeline view. And let me just add a couple more channels here so that you get a better sense of what this view is for. So I'm going to subscribe to one more event type. Actually, I'm going to select a change that capture for accounts. And I'm also going to replay them. There we go. So now you can see a more interesting view of the timeline. We have 2 channels that have events. We're actually subscribed to 4 channels, but we have 2 of them which have events. This is our change that capture event, and this is our custom platform event. Now, when I move on the timeline, I can see those dots here, and these represent events. So when I'm hovering over the events, I can click on them, and I can see some extra details here, like this one. Okay, this one is very simple. There's not a lot of data, but if I click on, for example, on the change that I captured event here, you can see that the payload is a bit more complex here. Now, let me cover some of the interesting features that were brought also as part of version 3. One thing that I really like and I think was required is the ability to filter the different events precisely. So I've included some extra filters in version 3. You can now select a specific channel here to show only the events for specific event types. So for example, here I could decide only to show my platform events. I can also search for a specific keyword within the payload of the events. So for example, here if I select Monday, I know that I had Monday in one of the events payload, and you can see here it's actually written here. Now I can also make this search case sensitive or not by checking this little checkbox here. So let me get rid of my filter. You can see now that the timeline automatically updates when I'm filtering, and there are also 2 other filters that I can use. I can also filter on the time range. Now what I've been doing with version 3 is also give you a bit more space to view the different events. The timeline view is very interesting because it's a quick way to visualize events with reference to time. Now the timeline is new in version 3, but I've kept also the previous visualization option. You can still see the table of events if you prefer the previous views. What's interesting with the timeline is that it gives you a visual representation of time. Now, what is also very new with version 3 is that you can also expand the view and collapse it. So for example, this command palette here is collapsible, so you can get a bit more space here. And you'll notice that the graph here automatically expands to take the full width of the component. What is also great is that the axes automatically update to scale when you add new events. So I'm going to show you that next, but I want to show you one more thing before I jump into creating events. You can also toggle the filter view so you can really maximize the space you get for looking at events. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to modify one of my accounts, and this will fire a change.capture event for the account object. So I'm going to select my sample account here. I'm going to edit it, and I just need to fill any of those fields. So for example, I'm just going to enter a bogus phone number here. And as soon as I click save, this will fire a change.capture event for the account object, and we'll see that the streaming monitor is automatically updated with the new event. And you can see this new dot here that was added is the change I just made. So if I click on it, I'm going to see the change.capture event, and in particular the change fields part. And the change field parts contains the new values for the fields. So the last modified data is automatically filled, but the phone is precisely what I've just entered. And this is just an example for one of the different event types. I can also publish events directly from the streaming monitor as well. So if I collapse back the command part, I have this third option here to publish an event. So let me go back in full screen. From here, I can now select, for example, a custom platform event, take my sample event, and I can enter a payload. So for this one, it's a very simple event. There's just a message field here. And by doing this, I'm preparing the payload of my event. Now, if I click on publish, it will go back to the view here, and we'll get our events. And here you can see the new event that I just published. This is our sample event. Now, this is also a fourth action that you can do. You can also register event source, and this is not typically something you would do from the streaming monitor, but here you have shortcuts and explanations on how you can create new event source. For example, here this is the Apex code you would need to create a new push topic if you wanted to do that. And that's a wrap. That was the streaming monitor showcased in a couple of minutes. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure to get the streaming monitor from the AppExchange and feel free to leave me some feedback there. Also, if you're interested in figuring out how this was built, you can go to GitHub and explore the source code, and maybe why not contribute. Thanks again, and have a great day.